Welcome, everyone. The Newton Planning Board will hold a public meeting on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026, beginning at 7 p.m. in the Newton Town Hall, 2 Newton Road, for the following. We'll begin with the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to designate Mr. Givens as a voting member in place of Mr. Duncan tonight. We're actually going to go a little bit out of order just because we have a line of business just probably going to go quicker. It's number 2 on our agenda. The 125 development condominium conversion is asking for a continuance to next meeting.
I have
Go ahead.
a request. I would, because of the conflicting information we had from Mr. Barham and 125 Development, I would like to have a representative from Maritimes here at that next meeting so that they can tell us if they have any issues.
Just to be concerning the condominium conversion
Yes.
specifically?
Because I believe that that's phase 2 and that will ultimately be talking about going across the pipeline for the next stage.
The site plan for what is phase 2, which is the location of this condo proposal, does involve already crossing the gas line. Well, that issue certainly was spoken about at the last meeting.
Right, but I would like to hear from Maritime what they have to say, I'd like to hear from the horse's mouth, if they have anything to say.
I will say they have been notified as part of the application.
Okay.
Thank you both. Thank you both. So do I have a motion to continue this?
So the continuance request didn't specify a date, but for the next meeting, it would be August 11th. Meeting date.
I'll make that motion to continue.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. All right, moving on. Millenium Engineering representing Michael Montello, Subdivision Extension Request for a 10-lot subdivision at 104 North Main Street, Newton, New Hampshire 03858, map 9, block 1, lot 6.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Amorel. I'm from Millenium, and I've been working with you and Mike on this project for the last several years, which we're at years now, and that's kind of weird. But we're requesting an extension, so our current application and approval expires in August. We're in the final stages with all of our permits. The subdivision came back in the last couple of weeks. It was attached with the extension letter, and we're waiting for the AOT file and the Army Corps file and the dredge and fill file numbers to come back as approved, and working through those final comments with them. Obviously, you may recall that this project also crosses Maritime's pipeline and Unitil's pipeline, and so we had extensive conversations with them to get to the point that we're at right now, and we're anticipating that by the end of the year, we should be at a point where we're coming back to you for final approval and ready to move on to recording and getting ready for construction for next year.
Excellent. Jen, this is because we're up on the, what is it, 180 days from the last extension, is that?
Their last extension is, as Pat pointed out, going to expire in August. So due to that factor, they need either an extension request or they would have to go through the whole process again.
Perfect.
Given that they've clearly made some progress, it seems like a reasonable continuance to grant.
So I'm going to make a motion to grant them their extension due to the fact that it would be right, and the fact that they've done all their due diligence. They're continuing to get their proper permits, have everything taken care of the way that it should be done and addressed in a timely manner, and we know that they can't always control the other parties and their times, schedules.
I'll second that.
Just to be clear, the continuance request is to December 28th, 2026.
Yes, thank you.
All right, the motion and seconded, all those in favor? Aye.
You're gonna have to adjust because Mr. Duncan showed up, so you're
Unanimous.
gonna have to appoint for somebody else.
So I will change Mr. Gibbons to
Chairman,
take the place of Mr. Moran. All right, yeah, should be all set.
thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Okay, the last application on the agenda is Devaney Energy, 177 Wells Ave, Newton, Massachusetts, has applied for a major site plan at Industrial Way, Newton, New Hampshire, map 14, block 1, lot 27.3. I know we've had, obviously, discussion on this as design review and everything, so if you wouldn't mind coming up. There you go.
If you just want to put your thumb drive into that computer, you can share via Zoom, share screen, and it'll show up there, just for everyone. This is a continuance from the last meeting, where we didn't even.
Oh,
begin the
that's
discussion.
right, yep, yep. So this was continued from the July 14th, 2026.
Correct.
meeting.
They've been here before for a
Yep.
design review. This is the formal site plan application.
That computer making all that?
I don't know.
The noise?
Yeah. You went up to take a look. I don't think it's the computer. It's almost as if there's an extra mic somewhere that we're unaware of.
Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. And everyone, I apologize, I'm a few minutes
Oh,
late.
no,
so
don't worry.
I just showed up right
Take your
as you
time.
actually
Not
get
your
going.
fault.
It happens, yeah.
All right, ready to go. Thank you, everybody. Name is Andrew Peroni from Verdantis, representing Devaney Energy for our application for a propane distribution facility here in Newton. Obviously, the cover sheet. Next sheet is our existing conditions survey. I think you all have 11 by 17 cutouts, right? So the zooming might be a little difficult, but this is obviously a kind of representation of what's there right now. Obviously, we mapped out some wetlands last summer. Obviously, the site overall is under some development, so there is some changes overall, but that's essentially the area we're trying to work within for a proposed facility. So this is the proposed layout. The intent is to, again, have a propane distribution facility with propane trucks. We show parking spaces for 10 trucks. We also showed parking spaces for 10 total passenger vehicles, 9 regular spaces, and 1 ADA. Because of the size of the lot, for safety purposes, we tried to orient the lot where it would basically be a one-way traffic flow, where trucks would enter on towards the western portion of the lot and then pull through. Then once they do their either parking or they fuel up, then they leave towards the eastern side of the developable lot. Again, the idea was that way, just instead of making a big impervious area, potentially having impact wetlands or anything like that, to make it so it could be one entrance, we figured just from a flow standpoint, it would be better just to go all the way around. On the site plan, we show 3 propane tanks. Right now, the applicant is looking to only install 2 at the time, but we want to show on the site plan the intent to expand to 3, so that's why we show them there. We also show a storage area for their different supplies and equipment towards the east of the propane tanks, as well as a dumpster pad just to the east of the storage locations. So that way from, where their storage supplies are, any plastic or anything like that, it's right next to the dumpsters to be easy cleanup. Also, the idea is being easy in and out for garbage hauling companies to come in.
And that's open, that's not a structure, it's like an open area there. right?
Correct,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes. We also showed to the east of the overall development, we show a well location for facility as well as the well setback radius. So nothing hazardous or so is going to be stored within that radius there. We show a septic, we have to have a septic tank in leach field, or it's probably there's no municipal sewer obviously there. But because of the tightness of the lot, we tried to really work through this, but from a gravity, flow and just overall grading standpoint of the site, plus the proximity to wetlands and the building, we have to make everything H20 rated, so that way trucks can drive over it. That way we're not having any setbacks or wetland buffer impacts or anything like that. It's unfortunate, but we'd rather do that than cause any other issues for the site, so it's all H20 rated. We do show a 1,000-gallon diesel fuel dispensing area for the distribution trucks, along with a spill kit there. Those will be designed towards and built towards state regulations. We also have right next there a oil water separator as part of our overall stormwater management process. Everything from within the asphalt impervious area, all sheet flows to our different, we have 3 stormwater ponds, which I'll show on the next few sheets, 3 different ponds, and the ones closest to the distribution trucks and fuel dispensing area, that will first run through a oil water separator. So petroleum impacts, anything that happens to hit the asphalt, it will go there and be cleaned out readily. So that way it won't even get into the sediment forebay, for the stormwater treatment. We also show perimeter fencing for the oversight as, for security. And then we came here back in April, it was April 14th or so. There's only 2 members. It was just for a design review. We didn't have a landscape plan at the time nor a lighting plan, but you'll see we do have a lighting and landscape plan to show there'll be no impacts to any of the abutters, and that we're trying to really screen the site to make sure that, we're being good neighbors as best we can.
Before you change that, I have a question, okay?
Yep.
Can you tell me on the proposed 50 by 70 storage area, is that where these tanks are going?
No, ma'am.
All right, is that area that's right next to it, those tanks?
Just to the left,
Okay.
yes. Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah, you can see there the kind of the long white.
Since it wasn't labeled, I didn't know what that was. Okay,
Yep, that's what
thank
those
you.
are. Yep. So this next sheet, C21 is a just more in-depth stormwater plan overall sheet. Again, we have 3 ponds on the site. We have a gravel wetland towards the southern portion of the lot, plus some 2 bow retention ponds, one to the north and one to the east. This site proved to be a little tricky from an analysis standpoint and design, based both from, it's a relatively flat site, and the groundwater is fairly high, so infiltration is not possible at the site. I know When you can, it's better to do so, but we can't do it because we have to allow the water enough time to go through the filtration media before it actually can release out. So all these are lined infrastructure, so there will be no mixing. I know there's a question on the conditional use permit. There will be no mixing with the stormwater directly into the groundwater because we need to actually keep it separated to treat it out. The two bow retention ponds, the one to the north handles generally the northern portion of the lot where the driveways comes in, the regular passenger vehicles and employee parking is going to be, as well as the stormwater or the snow storage areas. That'll handle the stormwater from there. The roof from the building, because we're able to reduce the size since there's less contaminants you have to really treat for. The roof will actually go to the bow retention pond to the east or to the right of the building, so that's why it's a little bit smaller. Again, the last few details are shown here. We show the oil water separator to the southwest of the overall development, just left of the fuel dispensing area. The idea, I think initially when we came here, we did try to have catch basins that led to a oil water separator directly via pipe. But the groundwater, the depth of groundwater again was proving pretty difficult, so we've opted to just sheet flow everything. So there's no infrastructure on within the asphalt. Everything is just a smooth grade, all going towards that point that can handle all the water coming in. Again, treat it before then it releases out into the actual stormwater ponds. Again, more of a close-up look, and there's more details later on. The H20 rated septic tank and leach field. Again, we went with this, so we didn't have any wetland buffer impacts or anything like that, so. Question?
Any initial question? Or actually, go ahead, Jen.
I think it might be helpful, maybe you're not the right person to answer this, but to explain what the business plan is for this. Like, how many employees, how many trucks, like hours of operation, I think may be useful for just general understanding of the site. You'll have to go up to the mic, though.
I can, but while he's walking up, we're designing for 10 trucks. And sure, there's always a hope to expand, but I don't think there's much room for expansion here, so.
Justin Devaney. Yeah, so this is basically to, future growth and to kind of take upon what we've already grown in the area right now. So to say right away it's going to be a couple trucks, hopefully that grows to 10 trucks. That's the plan. Employee-wise, 4 to 5 in the building itself. Out in the field, there'll be delivery trucks, there'll be service trucks, so that could grow to 10. But obviously we're limited given the size of the facility and whatnot.
What about just hours of operation that you're looking for initially?
I mean, typically, a delivery guy will start early, 6 o'clock in the wintertime. That's obviously our busy time. And come in, depending on the winter, if it's busy, they come in around 4 to 5. But 24/7 service, obviously, but, service guys take their trucks home, so there's no one coming in here at, 3 in the morning to go do an emergency call. Very rare. Can it happen? Yes. Is it going to be something that's frequent? No, not frequent.
Thank you. Any other questions, Jen?
Just as far as procedural, they will, obviously they're here for site plan, they also had to apply for a conditional use permit under the groundwater ordinance, which you did get copies of between the last meeting and now. So we will need to go through those as 2 separate items. Town engineer did review the site. There might be a few responses that they want to respond to, but overall, generally some positive comments on a few other outstanding issues sort of beyond the design of the site that we'll have to get through, but.
Any initial questions from the board? Right. I would like to open it up for public comment. If you have any comments, could you please just state your name and address?
Can I actually recommend something?
Sure.
And I'm not saying to let the comment or the public speak. We might want to go through the groundwater conditional use permit first and do the public comment related to that aspect. Maybe summarize the narrative of the criteria that the This use as a propane use is a allowed use with a conditional use permit because it's not using the petroleum product. If it was, if they were doing like home heating oil, that would be different based on the petroleum product, but because it's propane, it is allowed in the grandfather district.
Right.
Yeah, I'll jump right
Yeah,
into it.
so, yeah,
Okay,
just-
I did have a summary put together. I obviously submitted a narrative for it, try to summarize it, kind of keep it quick with the bullets. Question number one was the impact to overall groundwater quality. Again, from just overall development, this site has been kind of used as material storage in the eyes of the state. This would be considered impervious in general. What we're doing is actually reducing the overall impervious area by shrinking it in, having the development, and it's not substantial, it's not, reducing it by 75%, but we are reducing our impact, but also we're building the infrastructure to manage stormwater, one, to treat it, what's already there, and two, that it's not, as I said, not going directly infiltrating into the ground because it has to be treated first before it's slowly released out. So we, I would say, our site plan would meet that criteria for those reasons. From aquifer volume and storage capacity, again, water demand is limited to the site, as Justin had said, at most maybe 10 employees, and the water usage would be limited to just general, use. It's not going to, there's no manufacturing, no industrial processes or anything like that. It's just limited to standard bathroom flushing and, making coffees and waters. So there's really no impact to the aquifer volume. Again, no industrial groundwater withdrawals or significant extraction, so really no impact from our standpoint there. Number three, wastewater and hazardous waste on site. The intent is that the septic system, obviously the wastewater, for any bathroom usage would go through a advanced enviroseptic system. Again, we use this one to reduce size, but also we're structuring it so it's H20 rated to reduce our overall impact for the septic system. As I said, no industrial processes are going to be conducted on site, so there's no need for any pretreatment of any water from the processing itself. The propane storage, as Jen had mentioned, it is a allowed use within this as part of a conditional use permit. All the propane will be managed within the specific and designated transfer areas. We have called out for spill response measures for the diesel refueling station and also operational controls, which would have to meet NFPA, State of New Hampshire, OSHA, anything like that. So not, just on top of the town, we are going to be required to comply with, many other entities. So from a groundwater protection ordinance compliance, interesting. I tried to summarize this quick. I think I kind of made it a little mistake here, but
This is perfect. Thank you. You're doing
I
great.
think essentially, you get was, overall, our site, we're trying to be good stewards here. Like I would argue that we're improving a site from what it is right now with its development. Plus, obviously, it's an allowed use, and with fuel prices, everything that they are, this would actually be a benefit to the local community for local fuel storage and fuel delivery. So, I think there is an opportunity for the Newton Conservation Commission to review this application as part of it. I'm not sure.
The overall application was submitted to all of the department heads, and Bill, please correct me if I'm wrong, and other committees. They did have the ability to comment. As far as I'm aware, we did not receive any Conservation Commission comment. It would be advisory in nature, whether they commented or not.
Yep. So yeah, that's a summary essentially. That's what the document says. So
Thank you for that. I know reviewing this, my concern, like from 10,000 feet, is the diesel, like fill station, right?
yep.
But with the information that you gave us, I want to say it was a few weeks back, that the system that you're putting in, it looks to be pretty robust. It can handle over a 30-gallon spill outside of the tank, I would imagine.
Yep.
And can you just speak on the oil-water separator? Like, do you know how that works and everything, just kind of for everybody? And if not, that's fine.
I can give you my, very, kind of simple explanations.
Yeah.
When you think of oil and water, it doesn't mix. Oil is lighter than water. So the idea of this chamber, it's almost like a septic system where a large volume comes in with whatever is mixed in it. Obviously, during any runoff event, the oil and the water will mix kind of a little bit just because it's kind of a torrent coming in. But the tank itself gives the water enough time to kind of allow everything to naturally separate. So then what's in the layman's term that they use in the industry, the scum, the oil and, grease, anything like that, that would then rise to the top where there's a baffle, and then the water that's been separated from the oil will then go underneath and now a different point, so the oil's been separated. It's a really simple process. Again, it's the same thing as, essentially the same concept as like a septic tank.
Yeah, and it gets obviously maintained every so often.
Right, it has to be,
Yeah,
I think,
right.
from a warranty standpoint, I believe they have to be
Right.
cleaned out every so often. So it would be routinely maintained, and also the benefit of having it right there, they can easily get to it to maintain it, because if you put something somewhere where they're never gonna see it, they'll never deal with it. So it's somewhere he won't be able to ignore it, right? So.
Right.
And I would imagine by state law that it needs to be inspected on an annual basis.
I believe so. I can't state officially. I can get back to you on that one, but I believe there is a minimum inspection frequency. I don't know off the top of my head.
Can I just say that Conservation did not have a meeting in July, so we'll make sure that we bring that up in August. So,
Thank you. Any other comments on the board?
I have a couple of comments. I want to say them before we might public comment,
Sure.
so that might answer some questions. There are a number of performance requirements anybody getting a conditional use permit under the groundwater ordinance does have to meet. It's a lot of things like labeling hazardous and regulated substances, making sure they have secondary containment, that they are secure. But the one I do want to point out to folks is that a spill prevention, control, and countermeasure plan is a requirement, has to be submitted to the fire department. So that is something that I would recommend be a condition of approval, but it's already in your regulations, so I thought that might be applicable for the diesel fuel, as I know it's been brought up as a concern before, so.
And that would be on the groundwater portion of the application, right? Or-
Correct.
Yeah, okay,
So
right.
that requirement is under the groundwater
Yeah, okay.
ordinance already. I would recommend that be a condition of any conditional use permit approval.
Perfect.
To get to that point, so.
All right. I'd like to open it up now for public comment on either of the two phases, I guess, of this application. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Tom Alberti, 2 Ridgewood Road in Plaistow. I know this has come up on a few different design review conversations, so, I think one of the things that we, as a butters, addressed was, obviously, you're putting 2 combustible energies very close to each other, 2 major pipelines right next to a propane storage tank. I get that, in terms of what the requirements are for setbacks, that has been followed. So we appreciate that, we respect that. It's still, I don't know if the fire department has put in any sort of information about a catastrophic response, or excuse me, a catastrophic event, and what the response would be to such an event. So we certainly, would respect the feedback on that. One thing I didn't hear about, though, was any sort of trip analysis. So I don't know how many deliveries a truck typically does a day. If he's maximized at 10 trucks, does 5 or 6 deliveries per truck, that's an exit and an entrance. That's, 60, 70 vehicle trips per day in and out of the entrance. So I don't know how this impacts the current DOT permit, which is a conditional permit as I understand it currently.
Sure. Go
So
ahead, Joe.
currently,
Thank you.
this site has limits on its DOT driveway permit. In order for this business to be able to operate, they would need an amended DOT driveway permit. Until that's satisfied, they won't be able to do that.
Okay. Yeah, and it's standard procedure to have a conditional, and I understand DOT permits can take time, and every application that is approved is typically conditioned upon DOT permit approval and getting granted. But one of the other things is we've seen a ton of recent activity out of this property, and as abutters, that's been the biggest concern, which is, and it was briefly mentioned, hours of operation. So I would request that the board strongly consider limitations on the hours of operation. You know, talking about employees entering at 4 and 5 a.m., trucks operating at 6 a.m., I think those are outside of some of the hours of operations that have been discussed as quote-unquote nuisances and impacts to abutters. So I would strongly consider that that is reviewed and understood, and that some limitations be put on the hours of operation. Now, I get that what kind of business they are, and I respect that as well, that there's service calls and things like that, emergency deliveries, but standard hours of operation, especially with trucking, we would strongly urge and request that the board put some limitations that are reasonable and within the guidelines of standard business operations, especially near and around abutters. And also, the applicant addressed lighting. You know, lighting pollution is a concern. It sounds like they'll have hopefully minimal lighting, but certainly want to stress that as a point of, you know, consideration. And then the last thing is putting trucks over the gas lines. I think he's on the right side, or whatever the direction is of the gas line.
Just before.
Yeah, so it sounds like there may not necessarily be crossings over the gas lines, but I don't know if the board would consider, you know, putting some sort of directional, you know, in and out requirement in terms of the trucks not crossing the gas lines. That's my only other thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, do you have any, like, kind of information around that?
I think the one thing I'd like to speak to, I think the presentation kind of got cut short, but we do have a lighting plan in our package. As you can see, that's a rendering from a lighting company. That's not us coming up with, that's a lighting company. They do the analysis, they look at the town requirements, town regulations as to how to do the lighting plan to, one, safely light the facility, but also, as you expressed concern, not impacting abutters. So the lighting analysis actually show where the lighting would actually, lights would be located, then which way they'd be angled, and which way they'd actually be, you know, showing the light. This next screen is just a rendering of what's being proposed right now for it, and I would argue that's probably what we're going to go with, because again, we just want to light our facility, but we don't want to impact you guys. So I would say from the lighting and a landscape plan for screening, it is in the packet. We really did our best to make sure we didn't impact the abutters there. I think the last comment on the traffic direction, I don't think I quite understood what you're asking. Were you saying in terms of not having us go down the more public road over the gas line, or are you referring to just within our lot?
Right, that's what he was talking about, hanging
Right.
a left and then going over, but I don't think it would be feasible for him anyways,
Right.
because the more direct route is to take the right to access to get out to 108 versus go all the way up around Puzzle Lane.
I would wager the majority of the
Right.
distribution would be going to the right. That's again why we tried to orient the site from a safety standpoint. That's how the trucks would generally flow.
Just one other thing. Oh, go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
Just on that specific topic, a condition could potentially be that all fuel trucks are to turn right and immediately leave the site towards 108 unless they are delivering to a business located to the left effectively.
Essentially a truck route.
It's more like really trying to make most of the traffic turn the way that they would most naturally go to get to 108 the fastest, but you're codifying it, so you're saying, you know, unless you're delivering and you have to go over the gas line to get to what will eventually be the loop road, you have to exit immediately. It just adds one more layer so that what I think the intent is just potentially a condition. So.
I have a question for this gentleman, if he would, please. So my question for you is the proximity of your houses, so, like you were talking about, hours of operation, if we were to set it, and we try to appease both and come to an understanding, would be, one, how close are you to where, when they pull in, if they were to pull in with their own personal vehicles, would that noise be heard?
Yeah, I don't think that's as much of a concern, right? So the concerns that arose recently were out of truck traffic
Right.
and the loud noises that accompany that traffic. So that's really probably the major concern. Vehicles are probably going to be, shielded by some natural landscaping and minimal noise. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
sound
don't
barrier,
think. I'm sorry?
a sound barrier of some sort?
Well, I think natural land barriers, if you will, again, it's not necessarily right there, but again, the concerns that were born this summer were related to truck traffic. And so that's mainly our concern, right, is that it was understood that 7 a.m. was really the starting time for some activities that are there. And so to hear that, he's looking to operate at 6, now we're going an hour earlier, and potentially trucks starting at 5:15, 5:30 while they're fueling
That
up.
wouldn't be it. If hours of operation are 6 o'clock, that means they don't start till 6, which, like you were just talking about, in the wintertime, you'd want to start the truck up to let it, warm up and idle. Especially, I know technology and all this, but being a truck driver, fuel lines freeze
Sure.
if you don't get them warmed
Had it
up.
happen this year.
Yeah, and exactly. So if it was 6, now we're talking the trucks are idling at 5:15, 5:30.
I'm talking if their hours are 6, that's when they get to start their trucks, not before.
Yeah. Okay.
If we were to do that,
Yeah.
that would be the case. That doesn't mean they get to come in and start them up before 6. They cannot start their trucks till
Yeah.
6 o'clock. And then they would be able to let them warm up and leave in the wintertime or in the summertime at 6, start them up and then roll right out, if that would be the case.
Yeah, and I'm with regard to the neighborhood that I'm in and also sort of represent as we're an HOA group, I'm not the closest neighbor to that operation, so I don't know exactly. I know that there has been activity related to construction. They've heard a lot more noise at 6 a.m. That's a concern for them. So even if the standard hours of operation were 6 a.m. and it did mean it's right at 6 o'clock, trucks started, the machinery to fill tanks, which I assume emit noise as well, I think that the abutters would even be concerned with the 6 a.m., but it's obviously up to the board's purview. But I think that when we had issues over the summer, that 7 a.m. was an acceptable timeframe for us, because that was more along the lines of, standard hours of operation for families.
And winter may be tougher because there's not as many leaves on the trees and stuff. I notice it with the train. I don't live close to the train, but I notice it's louder in the winter when there's nothing between the trees to catch the sound, so.
Absolutely, yeah,
The
so,
winter could make a difference too.
absolutely. When the leaves are down, light pollution, noise pollution is gonna be, X amount of times higher. So, and considering we're in New England and, winter's a good
6
8
months out of the year.
you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that we'd ask the board, our request and concern and request would be more around the 7 a.m. hours of operation, but that's, up to your purview, like I said.
Jen, you had a comment?
It's
Oh,
a-
no, go, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. While we're on this subject, if you don't mind. You want me to stay up here? No.
Ann Barden, 10 Howard Lane. So hearing you talk about the truck traffic means that the trucks are going to be traveling right next to my backyard and going up to 108.
Correct.
Yeah, so definitely I want to reiterate, Tom's request that the hours of operation, 6 a.m. is a little early for all, and that's that's potentially a lot of truck traffic where there's already a lot of traffic going going through there. And that road travels, is very close to my backyard. There's not much of a buffer. You know, that's my initial concern about that. Did you, Jen, did you
Understood
have?
that. Thank you.
All I was gonna say was that it's about 800 feet from the site to the closest residence, which happens to be the Plaistow residence. So
Yep.
just for distance-wise, that's
Yep.
about how far it is.
Understood.
Sound like that was an official start time, or just kind of putting feelers out there that that is a potential?
Yeah, I was going to actually.
It sounded like it was
kind of ask the question. So, if this is approved, it gets built and everything before the business starts, there would be no reason for them to come back before the planning board to reset like hours of operation.
So the planning board can talk to the applicant about hours of operation that meet a lot of different needs.
Yep.
That should be set as a condition of approval if we get to that. If for some reason they wanted to do something different that would be extend those, they would need to come back to get
Okay.
that changed. So it's better to have the discussion now than.
Yep. And that was what I was really getting at. Yeah, yeah.
So we can get something more set in stone. Question. So concerns with the gas line that you had brought up, would it be, and I think Barbara, you mentioned this at the beginning, is it possible to bring somebody from the gas company to talk about concerns and?
So the gas utility has to be notified because they're an easement holder. Also under state law, they have to be notified, and before any activity can occur, they have to be notified. That was actually one of my conditions, is that referencing to that state law would be my suggestion. You could request the applicant to bring someone. Whether they show up is not really in your control.
Okay.
Yeah, because the notification,
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's, you notify the utilities, and if they
Yeah, we
don't
can
kind of have
list-
any
list some
concerns, they won't, they won't
Yeah.
kind of say anything, so.
I will say this site is still subject to the overall site plan of the development of this area, which does have a condition regarding the gas utilities, so.
I have some more questions.
ahead.
Does the Department of Environmental Services get involved at any level, or are they part of the groundwater protection?
They are not specifically. Groundwater is largely regulated at the local level. There is a point where they do get involved.
Okay.
But the stormwater requirements that Newton also has
The what? I'm
the
sorry.
stormwater requirements that are part of the groundwater protection also can have some tangent effects with DOT and the alteration of terrain permit this site had to get
Yeah,
originally.
yeah. I mean, just from my perspective, diesel, propane, liquid natural gas, 2 liquid natural gas pipelines, and all on top of an aquifer, just sounds really scary to me. I understand the containment strategy, but we all know where the road paved with good intentions ended up, and I just, I would caution to move really slowly on this. It's like things have gone from 0 to 1,000 on this property since I moved here in 2023. And is this place going to get bigger? I don't know. This just doesn't seem like the smartest business to put in that location. And I want to go on record. I mean, Tom did an awesome job explaining all the details and everything. This is just my thoughts, and I want.
No, I definitely understood, and thank you.
Big change.
In the aquifers, as I said, I'm not in about it. The aquifer is obviously my biggest concern in this application. So, yeah, yeah. Oh, Jen, go ahead. Sorry.
I do want to say, though, propane specifically as a groundwater hazard, it really isn't, because it doesn't seep into the ground itself. Diesel certainly can, but propane itself does not.
Yeah, and I do understand that. I think I've also heard about the combination of the different types of gases being hazardous. I forgot to reiterate what Tom said about the fire department. That's one that's really important.
Bill, did you have some?
Steve Becht has a comment as well.
Excellent.
Are you, let's see, can you say anything, Steve?
You would have to unmute.
Give it another shot, you're unmuted.
Steve, are you there online?
Oh. I know one.
Just 1 second, Steve, if you can hear us.
All right, Steve, give it one more shot.
You guys hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Steve Beck, 20 Ridgewood Road. I am actually the closest abutter to this property. And unfortunately, this applicant is victimized by a lot of the questions about noise because of the current landowner and the activity that's happened there. So from that respect, I do understand this applicant's struggles and the questions that they receive from us, the public, and it's mostly because of what's gone on this property. And actually, this exact location is currently a gravel processing area and a concrete crushing area where this facility is going. I just want to ask kind of a question that has already been asked in a different fashion. I know Tom referenced the pipeline. I know Ian did as well, but I guess I'd like to ask the applicant, have they already reached out to Maritimes Northeast and Granite State Gas, which is basically owned by Unitil, for any opinion of locating a propane facility adjacent to the gas transmission line? That would be one of my questions. And then, obviously, hours of operation. I agree with my abutters that I would rather see the hours of operation starting at 7 instead of 6. Not trying to encroach in anyone's business, but it is a part of what we've lived for the past couple of years off of this property. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any info on that?
At least on the applicant side, I
Yeah.
can speak to, we have not specifically reached out to utility companies yet. I think we wanted to get through kind of this process first. My understanding is that we just need to reach out to them, to coordinate with them, as part of the overall lot itself, but we're not working within the easement area, so we don't necessarily need to work directly with them. I was informed that the utility company has signed off on the construction of the crossing itself, the road going over into the rear portion of the lot. And I would argue that, whatever road is built would have to be built to DOT standards in order to handle whatever loads are going to be going over the pipeline. So we have not reached out to the utilities yet, but we would do so, as required prior to any construction or any activities.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jen?
just
Yep.
any activity and any work within 1,000 feet of the gas line.
Yep.
They have to notify. I mean, they don't have to do it prior to coming here. It is a requirement within 180 days. So,
Is it possible that we frame a condition to make sure that happens, just to ease everybody's mind, to make sure that happens, and maybe somebody reviews that happened within the town?
do you want me to tell you what my suggested
Sure. That
condition,
would-
just that might alleviate the...
That would be excellent.
Work shall not occur in the pipeline easement without approval from all gas pipeline easement holders for the proposed construction and use, and be on file with the planning board. The applicant shall notify the natural gas transmission pipeline operator of all proposed activity within 1,000 feet of the pipeline per the requirements of RSA 674-75.
Good.
I like it.
And within the state law, it specifies timeline.
Right, right.
I also want to speak, to the comment about the diesel storage and the concerns there. I don't know if you saw the packet that was put online. We did show a typical specification of a tank that we would use. It's a double-walled tank. So the idea is that, if something were released on the internal tank, it'd be captured there. And you can't reuse double-walled tanks, so it's not like if something happens, we'd just weld it and keep using it. It would have to be completely replaced, and a new system would be brought in. So with respect to that, like we understand when we came in for the initial hearing, it was a preliminary review, and we heard some other comments from the public. I think actually you were there at that meeting. You brought up some comments. So we took everything seriously. So we are trying to lay the site out as best we can. From an expansion standpoint, I kind of joked about it before, but we can't really expand here. I think we're designing it for up to 10 trucks. I don't think that's probably what they'll start with to begin with, but we've designed it to maximize as much as we realistically can, but there's no more. Like, there's nothing else we can do with the site, really. So we are, committed to that at least, so.
Well, I'm sure you don't want your area to blow up either.
Well, everything's gonna be built to, again, DES, NFPA code, intrinsically safe. So everything, we're gonna have to do everything by the book on top of just the town regulations. So there's a lot of other hands that will have to be taken care of.
Sounds like there's an awful lot of good safety
Correct.
precautions in place to start with.
Yes.
And part of the emergency responses to a place like this, for those who are concerned, is so what happens is the fire department, the police department are notified, and they are aware of any type of facility that contains flammable liquids or any explosive type of materials, whether there would be this company, whether it could be just a store that has them, so that they know that when a call comes in at a specific site, what the possibility is and what they're going to be dealing with, so that they don't show up on site and it's something completely different. They're well aware of what's taking place or what could be going on. They end up showing up, they do an assessment, they call in like they do on any other type of emergencies. They'll call in other towns if need be. If it's a fire, to put it out, they'll notify the gas companies immediately if something's going on, for them to be able to shut down the gas pipelines, and all of that. So they have all of those numbers on speed dial to be able to, again, address, assess, and take care of it.
I do have one other piece. I think it was Steve that brought it up. Would the applicant be willing, for the time being in initial construction of this and initial, when the business opens initial, to have the hours potentially set at 7, to put people a little bit more at ease, and then potentially, if everything's going well, expand those at a later time as a condition?
So we actually had a side conversation with this.
Okay.
And I understand the appeal to 7 o'clock. I understand the applicant's appeal for earlier, just again, for trucks warming up, everything like that.
Yep.
Could we set it at 6:30?
I mean, we kind of can set it to whatever we vote for here.
Because 7 o'clock, I think, as Robert probably knows, from a trucking standpoint, that is kind of late to get things going, everything like that. But 6 a.m. being, a non-truck driver living in a, kind of rural area myself, that would be kind of frustrating too. So I get that. So if we can find a little bit of a compromise, 6:30, at least that gives, nothing, trucks can't start till 6:30. By the time they're out, it's 7 o'clock. The engines revving up to drive away would be 7 o'clock by the time they warm up.
6:30 sounds like a pretty good compromise.
I agree.
I agree.
How do you feel, Ann?
It's hard to say when you don't live there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Can I just get what the
Sure.
end time we were thinking? I only heard the first part of it.
What's the end time?
Yeah.
That's like an open-ended question.
Never ending is,
For instance, this past winter, the end time was people need fuel, so get them fuel, and you end when you end. Unfortunately, you guys don't want to hear
Yeah.
that, but people need heat,
I was
with the
actually,
crazy winter.
yeah, and I was actually
You
thinking
know,
about,
to set restrictions on time for my business it's a tough thing for me to sit here and say, yep, 6:30 to 4:30 and we're done. I can't.
understood,
can't.
understood. And it is 24/7 for emergencies too, and I know
I
that.
mean, it's an essential business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're dealing with.
Is there a way that we can frame that with, except for emergencies or
You
something?
can do like a standard hours of operation, except for required outside of hours fuel delivery, something along those lines.
And that happens all the time.
I mean, that of course does happen all the time, but it's going to happen, I presume, more in the
Right.
winter months
Depending
when
on
people are
when.
using more
Right,
home
yeah.
heating fuel.
Yeah.
So if we were to set it for like 6 o'clock, which would basically, your, most of your trucking business, except for any emergencies or late stragglers that might be out finishing up, just because we don't want a lot of trucks continuing going, you know what I mean, in and out all night for the abutters after 9 o'clock when they're trying to get.
Oh,
to
no,
the
yeah.
school.
And I don't want my guys out till 9 o'clock either. So, you know, yeah.
But still,
But yeah, I mean, things happen. This
right,
winter was
and
a,
that's
you
why
know,
I said, so with the exception.
I mean,
So
cle-
like they're talking about, they've been unfortunately having to deal with a ton of trucks.
oh, and I understand you guys' position 100%.
They're a little bit shell shocked and they don't want it to continue
Understandable.
to happen.
And we do understand that, like, there's going to be emergency where there's a, blizzard and the electricity's out and you guys are gonna be out. Like, I think we all understand that. Just trying to, like, work our best to, like,
Oh, yeah,
frame
I get it.
to.
Yeah.
Sure.
My name is Jeff Tufts. I'm the operations manager for the propane department. I just wanted to say a couple things about the trucks. We typically fill them in when they come in at night. So, and when we say night, you got to remember, drivers are restricted by hours of service. So if they start at a certain hour, they're going to have to come in at a certain hour. We don't necessarily have staggered shifts type of thing. And this actually should be looked at, the facility, as a benefit, because there is a general lack of storage facilities all across New England. And they have been trying to add storage, and very often, when there's a cold snap, you'll see that the state will go to the feds and say, hey, we need to extend drivers' hours. We got to keep the gas flowing. So, number one, to have a facility local, I know you have others, but to have a facility local is a benefit. We are restricted on hours when we drive, and I don't know what truck traffic everyone has been subjected to. I just want to say, this company started in the propane business somewhere around 2010, 2011. And they just reached 10 trucks now out of that facility. So there's a huge growth period. It's not, boom, you're going to have trucks. And all of my servicemen work out of their homes, so they don't need to come back to the shop. The propane drivers, they're very, I guess all truck drivers like a routine, and they like to stick to that routine. I will tell you, it's outside my window. I'll have those 10 trucks start up in the morning, and I really do not hear them. There's not, again, I don't know what the truck traffic has been, but these trucks are just gonna load. They'll load at night, but they're gonna just drive off the parking lot in the morning. That's all they're doing. And they don't come back that often. For instance, in the summer, they will leave with a load of gas and come back at the end of the day. You're not gonna see them, and that's one trip. I know we were talking 5 or 6. No, it's one. In the In the winter, yeah, you might get a truck that does 3 stops if we're lucky. I mean, I want to move them as fast as I can, you know? But
And this is perfect. Can I ask a question? You just brought it up in my mind. The deliveries too, fill the big tanks.
Yep.
Like, how often is that?
well, they come in. It's an 18-wheeler that will
Yep.
come in. It typically, we have 4 of them, and they typically are going to load anywhere between 2 and 4 times a day. They're going to unload.
Okay.
So it all depends on, again, the number of trucks. If you have 1 truck there, and we're talking initially only having 60,000 gallons there, it would take 6 of those 18-wheelers to fill that tank.
Right.
And the typical truck that's going to take gas out of the plant is going to be, we have 2 sizes. We have a 3,000 and a 5,000 roughly. And that, so you can imagine, you see those number of trucks, and now you know what the 18-wheeler holds, and that's where we're at. You'll have many times, especially with a new plant, that you won't see a truck there for a week. You know what I mean? It's gonna, it's not, it's gonna take time to grow that business. And I would invite you to look at some of our other facilities. It's a great company to work for. There is no shortage of making sure everything is right. If you look at our property in Bridgewater, I think you could probably get it on maps, right? You won't see a piece of litter on the lawn. I mean, and every vehicle is maintained extremely well. We have actually been adding vehicles. As in this growth period, we've been adding vehicles with the intention of retiring the oldest one. And we just haven't, we haven't retired it. We just keep adding the trucks. And it's that they've been well maintained. They're not, you won't find a spot on them for rust or any kind of, they're clean as a whistle. And I know that Justin's father would found out that our trucks were dirty, we'd be in a lot of trouble. And he would stop you on the road and make sure your truck is clean. So
You just brought up another good point, that there will be no trucks getting service on location. That they go to a garage to get repaired and taken care of, and then when they're back in service, that's when they come back.
yeah, we have our own garages.
Yep.
So, but I just wanted to point that out, that if you've heard about other companies and other situations, this company is a little different. They run very responsibly. And I know he's here, so I'm not, I'm talking in front of him, But it is and I've already had my review, so don't worry. But it's run well, and we do a good job. And I would treat this as an asset. I really would, to have that facility in town. I know it pays taxes, and that's always a goal too. But and as far as I heard some things about safety, I've been a member of a emergency response group that the propane industry put together themselves, and I've been a member now for 40 years. And if there is a problem, the local fire departments call that group, and it's all the propane dealers in New England. And we would come and respond together, and we know who has what tools and what have you. Well, it's been a little bit like the Maytag repair guy, because we don't have...
Well, you would hope.
Yeah,
You
we
would
don't
hope you
have
never
these
have
issues.
to do it, right.
And especially at a plant. I can't tell you when we've had a plant problem, because you got to remember, we control that site. There is no smoking, there is no starting a car, there is no using the cell phones around the tank. We control that site. That's the safest place that propane is going to be. It's out on the road, if we would have an accident, or when we get called, is if a truck were to roll over or get in an accident. We can't, judge that.
Right.
But again, the plant is the safest place. I'm the one that sets the policy on the plant, and we have that locked down. So
Thank you for that
wanted to point
information.
out.
That was excellent. Thank
you.
you. Sure, go ahead.
Thank you for allowing the open dialogue. I appreciate it. And I know you're all busy and volunteering is great. Sounds like a great, respectable business. There's no consideration or concerns with the organization itself. Any of the concerns we had are just really related to the conditions and how they interact with each other. It is unfortunate that this applicant is sort of being subjected to pre-existing or, some other set of circumstances that, opened our eyes to the impacts. And again, it was the nuisance of major truck traffic, unrelated to them again. So now we sit there and say, well, this is an important aspect of this and any other future operations within this land. And so at some point in time, I know there's intention to build other properties, what those other companies may look like, what kind of truck flow traffic. And so this almost sets a precedent in terms of hours of operation. And so if it's one business and they only do, 15 runs a day, okay, that's maybe not a major impact, but then the next one has 60 and the next one has 150, and suddenly it's a well-oiled highway of noise, nuisance, and impact. So that's why I think, again, that's where we said, hey, we knew that the construction, hours of operation, and other pre-existing conditions prior to this were sort of set at that standard. And that's, I think, where our thinking is, not just for this business, but I think we would all be amenable to a reasonable hours of operation. Again, what is reasonable? That 7 to 5, 7 to 6 time frame that everybody's, considers their normal workday, but then also respectful of the need for emergency deliveries and out of hours type of activity. And I don't think you'd hear a neighbor saying, oh, I can't believe he's running out at 9, because we know why they're doing it. They're going to rescue a family that needs an emergency delivery. Right. So again,
and I think we all hear you. You're looking at the project as a whole, not maybe specifically this business, but like the industrial park as a whole.
Yeah.
And we understand that. Yep.
So then the next property says, well, they get 6:30. We want 6:32, and by the way, we're going to run 150 trucks starting at 6:30. So that's just why we said that. And again, we don't want to limit. We think it's a great, respectable family company. We respect that, but that's where our thought process is. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the board first? Go ahead, Jen.
I'm going to suggest, because I think it's one of the steps we can take, that we actually neglected to do earlier, was whether you want to accept jurisdiction.
I was thinking the same thing.
We did have public comment, which is out of order, but
Yep.
we should formally
Yes,
make that
yes, and I apologize for that.
it's a complete application.
So I'll make a
Yeah,
motion
go.
to take jurisdiction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? All right.
So my next
Go ahead.
suggestion is whether you feel that you are ready to make a decision regarding the conditional use permit for the groundwater, whether you feel like you need more information. I have a couple of conditions that I've drafted and modified as we've had this discussion.
I'd like you to read down what you have.
I'll read you what I have. There are some overall site conditions that I'm going to suggest that do sort of deal with some of the safety things that came up regarding the groundwater and sort of the fire department and that stuff. I do want to acknowledge that, but for just the conditional use permit, and this is under the groundwater provision, first one being no floor drains or discharges other than those of typical domestic wastewater treatment systems. The second one being that the diesel pump be maintained and inspected in accordance with state and federal requirements, because we weren't quite sure what the inspection requirements were. The next one being all hazardous and regulated substances on the site be handled, stored, and disposed of consistent with local, state, and federal requirements. And then the last one is that a spill prevention control and countermeasure plan shall be developed in accordance with zoning ordinance 28-4C and shall be and the plan shall be submitted to the fire department or appointed designee, who shall determine whether the plan will prevent, contain, and minimize the release of ordinary or catastrophic events such as spills, floods, or fires that may cause large releases of regulated substances. And that's it. That is just for the conditional use permit.
For the groundwater, understood.
Groundwater.
And also would be to meet all federal and state.
I would suggest that be a
Hazmat
a
regulations.
general condition of any overall site
Yep.
approval.
Do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion to approve the condition of use with those guidelines
For the groundwater.
for the groundwater and the other ones.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It's unanimous.
Okay.
With the specific conditions, right?
Yep.
For the groundwater.
I think now you're at the point where you need to talk about the overall site plan.
Right.
And do you feel you have enough information? Do you want more information on anything? Because if you do, we should talk to the applicant about what that might be.
I'm going to be honest, I feel like I have the information that I could make a decision. I don't know if you
Seems
all
pretty
feel
thorough
the
to
same
me.
way.
I think we just have to agree on what kind of hours.
I agree
Yeah.
with that. Jen, do you have general conditions for that?
I do. They're sort of all over the place. You want me to start with the easier ones?
Sure.
So, no outside storage of any business materials beyond that located in the indicated area of the site plan. So that one area where they said they would store the materials. No delivery trucks shall be serviced on the site. Standard hours of operation, I currently have written 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. with exception of fuel deliveries for emergency situations. A letter from the town engineer stating that all engineering comments have been satisfied. Those are sort of the easy ones.
And the
You
hard
wanna
one?
keep going on? All right.
Sure.
This site has some complexities because of previous approvals. I'm suggesting, similar to some of the change of use applications we had at the last meeting, this is the same suggested condition, because I know that 125 is in the works of getting all of those satisfied, but we're not maybe quite there, but just to cover that, that all site plan approval conditions for lot 14-1-27-3 dated March 30th, 2023, and subsequent amendments and extensions shall be satisfied prior to any building permit or certificate of occupancy being issued. That's the same wording as the applications from 2 weeks ago. The next condition I'm suggesting, and this is related to the fact that the site plan that is depicted on there, the boundary of that site does not legally exist right now as a condo unit, but that is how it is depicted. This planning board has never given approval for that condominium complex. They requested a continuance for that exact application earlier this evening. So my suggestion for a condition is that a condominium conversion plan be approved by the Newton Planning Board prior to any building permit for this site. And I would suggest that for any future application until that has been satisfied. And then the last thing is that work shall not occur in the pipeline easement without approval from all gas line pipeline easement holders for the proposed construction and use, and such correspondence shall be on file with the planning board office. The applicant shall notify the natural gas transmission pipeline operator of all proposed activity within 1,000 feet, which this is, of the pipeline per the requirements of RSA 674-75.
Thank you, Jen.
Got a couple of other very standard ones if you want me to go through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Applicant shall submit recordable Mylar of the approved plan with signatures and seals affixed of all licensed professionals whose names appear on the plan. All conditions of approval shall be listed on the Mylar pursuant to RSA 676-3 3, including all applicable variances, special exceptions, conditional use permits like the groundwater, and any site plan waivers granted. They have not asked for any site plan waivers, so. Applicant shall submit evidence of all required federal, state, and local permits, including but not limited to DOT driveway permits, subsurface improvements, and shall note the numbers as appropriate on the recorded plan page. Applicant shall submit checks to the town of Newton for all fees incurred by the planning board. And there shall be no changes to the approved site plan on the recordable Mylar except to meet these conditions of approval.
Thank you for that, Jen.
Sorry, I know it's a long list.
No, okay, perfect. I took my notes.
A lot of standard,
And just a reminder, I think we brought this up right at the beginning. The current driveway permit does not cover the additional traffic of this site, so that would have to be
That's why the
reapplied for. And
condition just
I'm
says
sure you
that
guys,
they have to
you guys
get
are aware of that. Yep,
the necessary permits.
yep.
And just to go back, the hours of operation I have just written down is 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. with exception for fuel deliveries for emergency situations.
Would there be any willingness to go to 8 p.m.?
Just for everybody online, the question was, would we be able to extend that to 8 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. For the afternoon hours? What is the planning board, how does the planning board feel on that?
We're allowing for straggling trucks, right, so.
That would be reasonable, 8 PM, but no later unless it was an emergency.
So would we like as a board to change that condition to 8 p.m. as opposed to 6 p.m.?
6:30 to 8?
That's during the week, so not on Saturdays, right? Saturdays, we'd start later.
So the way this currently is written, it does not specify days of the week.
So that would be Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays, because people would like to sleep in or whatever, we could shift those hours starting time to,
Can I suggest you actually maybe have the applicant or one of the representatives maybe go up if this is a discussion?
I've just been on the other side of the enforcement issue. I used to be a selectman in the town, so some of this is difficult to enforce. And what will happen is that there might be a one-off, there's a one-off emergency or a one-off this, and I'm just trying to look at it in a way that we wouldn't start the sirens all up for, someone went out to late and they didn't get back until 7:30. We don't cause a big, commotion. We can sit there, I suppose, and show you these emergencies when we have them, and it's very infrequent. But I just thought that since it is light out most of the, for a good portion of the year to the 8 o'clock, that wasn't extreme. That's all I was saying.
Excellent. Thank you.
but
Thank
when
you.
you're up there those Saturdays, you guys usually start later?
No, Saturday in the season, Saturday can be just like a weekday. And Sunday is different. That's not, we're not out and about, maybe later in the day on Sunday, but Saturday is it's 6 days a week. So. And again, that's with 10 trucks, 16 years later.
Right. It might start as 2 to start, understood. Yep. Yep.
So are you wanting to change this?
That is up to the board. Board thinks 6:30 to 8 is appropriate Monday through Saturday, I guess.
I'm okay.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I make it 7 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, when we dealt with the again, I'm not going to go back to it, but there were hours that were specific to the week, and then Saturdays were condensed, and Sundays were not available. And Mr. Marchand mentioned that we didn't discuss the weekends, so I would request that we were amenable to what those hours of operation that were identified to address the prior noise issues were amenable to us. There are families, young children, some of which are in bed by 8 o'clock. So again, we understand. If there's a truck that gets stuck in traffic on his way back, we get it. Nobody's going to make a call and say, hey, it says 6 o'clock and you get back at 7 and park the truck. But if there's, if they're filling all their trucks at 7:30 and 8 and people are putting their kids to bed, that's a concern. So like their request was take it from 7 back to 6:30. This is a request that went from 6 to 8. It's pretty significant. So, I mean, in the spirit of that, I would suggest or request that it be something more like 7, because I think families are still awake at that time. And again, young kids are probably getting ready for bed at 8. So that's just one of my counter requests. Thank you.
I also think that would be appropriate. Again, the gentleman from the company, obviously, from what he's saying, this won't be all the time. Everybody's getting in late. So I mean, there's, like you just said, there's going to be one truck that I'm sure, might maybe be in at 7:30 or so, and that's not what you guys are concerned
Won't be a
about.
fleet going out or coming in at
So-
7 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
Is
at
there a
night.
measurable amount to
Yeah.
where something has to be changed? How do you determine that?
To be honest, and I'll actually, this is a hard thing to enforce.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes having that clause of, the except for emergencies, that gives a little bit of judgment and leniency in certain,
Yeah.
if it's,
Yeah,
if it's 40 trucks running, that's probably not an exception.
And really, it's guidelines, right? We're not trying to restrict them. You guys aren't trying to restrict them. If we don't put any hours of operation, then you guys don't know that something's going to be honored. Yeah. Right. Yep. So, I'm sorry. No, that's all right. So would the board be amenable to making the hours 7? Oh, is there somebody online? Go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I just, again, reiterate the comment. It is a bit of an extension, but I would really object to the Sunday. I mean, there's very few opportunities right now that we actually can enjoy the outdoors and in our yards. And if it just becomes a nuisance on Sundays too, if it's very minimal and it is that emergency, but if you're telling us that it's a 7-day-a-week operation, I would oppose Sundays. And I think that's also, part of the other issues with the site going forward is if we allow Sundays here, it's going to be a 7-day-a-week operation everywhere. So again, I just want to go on record as opposing Sundays.
Thank you, Steve.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah, well, I don't know if everybody heard it. Sort of. I can
So,
kind of repeat.
I think that
Yeah.
he just didn't want trucks on Sundays being.
I heard Sunday.
Right. Did you guys say that I know there's deliveries that go out Sundays and emergencies, whatever. Is that generally do you guys generally have it?
Can you stand up at the microphone? Thank you.
Trucks on Sundays.
Yeah, okay.
If you get a snowstorm on a Friday, or you lose a day out of the week,
Yep.
and you get behind very quickly,
Yep,
then we throw the trucks out on Sunday.
okay.
In those circumstances, but
Yep.
in majority of the time now,
Normally, you're talking Monday through Saturday.
during the season, correct?
Because again, like they stated, truck drivers are regulated to so many hours per week. And then they have to have a certain
Rest,
downtime
right.
in between to offset their hours so that their new week is able to start.
Yeah, the new excavation regulations are 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 noon on Saturday, and then no operation on Sunday.
Because of the noise, the excavation of the noise, exactly. Yep.
So that's the sort of framework that I think the butters
because when we did that, the excavation, vehicles and, what they use for excavation are a lot more louder and noisier than just the regular gas trucks that they would be driving. They're nowhere near, at those decibel levels that come out.
So would the board and everybody kind of present be amenable to 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, with the exception of emergency deliveries?
That sounds reasonable.
Put that clause in case.
Unless, Jen, unless you have an issue with that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't live in Newton, so.
That's how that works.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry.
I wanted to say, Ann Barton again, 10 Howard Lane. We're not trying to torture you guys. It's kind of it's like post-traumatic stress, what we've been through before. And I do have a question, like, I totally get that, propane needs to be delivered outside of normal business hours. I understand that, and I'm not going to be calling the police about that. My concern is setting a precedent for other businesses, which Tom kind of addressed anyway. And maybe Jen, you can answer this. I don't know is there a way to have like guardrails on that?
To be honest, each application that comes before the planning board has to be judged on its own merit. So I understand you don't want to establish that every business has wildly different hours of operation, but even if this is the time frame that works for all businesses, the board is setting precedents. Each business should be evaluated differently. Each site is a little bit different in its impact and configuration.
Like we did with Turner Racing, right? We told them no dyno
Yeah.
tuning because of the amount of volume.
Right.
that
Right,
comes out
exactly.
When they do that. So that's why we're able to set those guidelines.
Right. So it'll be on a case-by-case, hours of operations are on a case-by-case. I just want to understand.
And Dan, you bring up a great point. That's the two sides of this, right? We're looking at this specific application for us because we kind of by law have to.
Yeah.
But we also know that there's other things that are, at play here. So,
Okay, all right, thank you.
yep.
There was one suggested condition I think I neglected to read off.
Okay.
Just so you have it. That all fuel trucks are to turn right when exiting the site to proceed immediately to New Hampshire Route 108 unless delivery is being made to a location located to the left of the site. That's basically to have them turn as quickly as possible to a state road and not being going to a gas station.
And knowing the site, I think that's reasonable, and it's probably what's going to happen anyway.
Right.
But to codify it, it'll probably be all right.
Yeah. Do you want me to read
I was gonna
all of
say
these
if
again? Just
if we think that we're ready to kind of move forward, we can have Jen go through this one more time.
Yeah.
All right.
okay. These will be a little out of order then.
Yeah.
But all site plan approval conditions for lot 14-127-3 dated March 30th, 2023, and subsequent amendments and extensions shall be satisfied prior to any building permit or certificate of occupancy being issued. Next, a condominium conversion plan approved by the Newton Planning Board shall be completed prior to any building permit. And this is only for this site, just to be clear. Work shall not occur in the pipeline easement without approval from all gas pipeline easement holders for the proposed construction and use and shall be placed on file with the planning board. The applicant shall notify the natural gas transmission pipeline operator of all proposed activity within 1,000 feet of the pipeline per the requirements of RSA 674-75. Next is no outside storage of any business materials beyond the location indicated on the site plan shall be allowed. Number 2, no delivery trucks shall be serviced on site. Next, standard hours of operation shall be 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, with exception for fuel deliveries for emergency situations. All fuel trucks are to turn right when exiting the site to proceed immediately to New Hampshire Route 108 unless delivery is being made to a location located to the left of the site. A letter from the town engineer stating that all engineering comments have been satisfied shall be submitted. All life safety criteria have been satisfied to the building and fire department requirements. A meeting with the town engineer for a pre-construction meeting shall take place prior to any building permit being issued. The applicant shall submit a recordable Mylar of the approved plan with signatures and seals affixed of all licensed professionals whose names appear on the plan. All conditions of approval shall be listed on the Mylar pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 676-33, including all applicable variances, special exceptions, conditional use permits, and site plan waivers granted. The applicant shall submit evidence of receipt of all federal, state, and local permits, including but not limited to DOT driveway and New Hampshire DES subsurface system approval, and shall note their numbers as appropriate on the recording plan page. The applicant shall submit checks and all fees to the town of Newton. And there shall be no changes to the approved site plan on the recordable Mylar except to meet these these conditions of approval.
I might have missed it. Did we have the one that the prior site plans carry forward?
Yes, that
Okay.
is the
All right. I just missed it.
And just so they're aware, what would be some of the prior ones that would affect that?
From my understanding, and I might not be completely up to date on status, they had at least 2 bonds that needed to be posted. I know you were working on it.
Yep, the bonds got sent in, right?
There is the
Yeah.
liability waiver for the town because it is a private road for emergency vehicles. I know that was also being worked on. There was also the additional correspondence from the gas pipeline easement holder that needed to be put on file. They have one of the easements, they don't have both. There are also a few things related to site inspections from the town engineer, of which I know Mike Vignali has been out on the site a few times in the past couple of months. There are some items in those letters that I do think the board needs to address. Some of them can probably very easily be fixed. Some of them may necessitate an amended site plan as a possibility. But those are effectively the main things.
Got it?
Thank you. Do we have a motion to move forward with this?
I'll make a motion to approve with said.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, folks. So you'll get your notices and everything. Obviously, there's a ton of building, a ton of work to do. Make sure that we take care of the conditions that need to be taken care of before building starts. All right. And thank you, everyone that came tonight.
Thank you.
From the public. Other business, circuit rider planning report, or planner report.
Yep, really briefly, you guys actually don't have a copy, but I will send it around. One of the things that we were kind of running into is that a conditional use permit form in our application had not been developed for the groundwater protection ordinance. So I had one of my staff members develop one. So I'm gonna send it to you guys for you guys to take a look at. It's a little bit different than your existing applications. There's just more to it. Because I do think it would be good to formally adopt that along with your other application forms. So that is one.
Can I see it?
Yep, you can absolutely see it.
All right.
And this would go along, like, exactly this application. It would be
Easier for applicants to know, this is what I need to
I
fill
need
out.
to do
This
both.
is the
Okay,
criteria I need
yep,
to address. I
yep.
think Tom can probably attest that a form would be easier. Give me one. The other item I have, and I'm actually glad you gentlemen are here, is that your site plan approval for 27-3 for the 4 lots technically expires on August 25th of this year. So I know I sent you an email a couple of weeks ago. I just want to reiterate that it is coming up. So if you need an extension for any of the conditions that you're working on, please file a request for an extension before that date. That's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you, John.
Is there anything the board needs from these people to issue the CO for building 4 and 5?
Oh, absolutely. Tom, go ahead.
Good evening, Board. Tom Lackboard, builder for 125 Development. In around November of 2024, the town and 125 Development had a global settlement between all parties involved. During that settlement, we had lots of differences that we worked out, and we got to a point of we could move forward. As of today, all our bonds are in place. We had been asking to place the big bond since December 23. It only took us 3 years, 2.5 years to get to that bond. Amazing. Construction has commenced substantially since that date. The decision of that meeting, when everybody's involved, DOT and everybody that was in the meeting, all our construction at that point was beyond 1,000 feet of the gas line. And until we were going to make enough construction on the site that we were going to start heading across the gas line, it wasn't going to affect what we're doing currently. We received building permits for 2 buildings. We have a third foundation permit for a third building. We're being capped by 105,000 square feet. We are staying below with those 3 buildings, all being outside of 1,000 feet with a gas line. We've gotten to the point that the building 4, number 120, the one at the very end of the cul-de-sac, is 100% complete at this point. It's bonded. Mike McNally was out again last week. We will never have a clean letter from Mike McNally, as the construction site is never ending. As we finish, we complete as we go. We can't complete some things 100% because we would destroy it again as we're completing the next building. As you've heard, truck traffic is heavy truck traffic. Reality is it's haul trucks. It's not dump trucks as much. It's more haul trucks that's working in there. We do have a huge crushing operation that has moved down and is doing building 3, getting the building 3 building pad right now, and it's outside 1,000 feet again. So what I'm trying to figure out here is that I received building permits for building 4, and now I'm being denied an occupancy permit because I believe the last thing that they're looking at right now is the second agreement with the gas line, and that I'm not ready to cross till probably sometime next July. So the business that's moving into 120 are buying the property from us, and we would like to let them move into the building and move on with us. So all we need is a CO to do that. We're bonded with everything that has to happen, and we're not going anywhere. We will continue this project, and we will continue doing what we're doing. So what I'm asking for is, like, when we ask for something, right now we're in the middle of engineers, which is a terrible position to be in. And it's just the way things go. Business is business, right? I'm hoping we have this resolved soon and we can move on with the new parties involved. But meanwhile, I don't want to be hung out to dry on this building 120, that I have all the permits. Fire, everything's signed off. Fire, it's a sprinkler building. Fire department's all happy with it. The building department's all happy with it. Mike McNally is shocked that our CO's being held up by him. He said and he was shocked that we gotten that far without a bond, and we said we keep asking. But we're there now, so it's done. It's behind us. So what I would like to say is that moving forward, I will start this permitting process to finish the business going into the unit much quicker. I will stay ahead of the game. But currently, I need a little help to move through what we're doing. And I would appreciate if for some reason, Sam says he doesn't hold the strength to issue a CO anymore. The planning board is holding the cards, but apparently that's not either. The selectmen are holding part of the cards. And it's really confusing trying to discuss this. This is running in a circle right now. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of it because we have a lot of state funding. These are military contractors in the state moving from Massachusetts. There's military stuff involved. We're getting a lot of pushback from the state because they have gotten grants. They have gotten FBA loans. They got SBA loans. And on August 6th, all of it dies because the money has to go elsewhere. And then the long life dream of the Johnsons is not going to happen. They own their own building. And that's what they would like to do. So I'm looking and reaching out and asking for a little bit of kindness that I could receive the CO in this building that is so far away in the project from the gas line, and everything else we got completed to this point, I believe. And if we don't, we're bonded. We're not going anywhere. And if you require another bond, we're willing to bond that section if you want to hold it out separate. We would jump on that in 2 seconds if that needs to be done.
Yeah, and just to clarify, for the board members who might not know, and I think Jen was going to also, this is because we have a conditional approval with both of those gas lines being notified.
Right.
And in your opinion, that's the only thing remaining?
In my opinion, that's all stuff. It's only one.
Okay.
Okay, that's being, how should I say, the federal government is dealing with them. We're kind of out of the loop of that as of the last we knew. They're telling us to replace the gas line. It was installed in 1966.
Yep.
They had problems last winter. They were in there and fixed a whole bunch of it behind Building 6 in Phase 1. Because when they sent that bullet through to x-ray the pipe, they found all kinds of problems. So now we're going to be responsible for fixing their pipe in the section we're doing. We're like refusing it because Mass Maritime, which is Enbridge today, the feds told us, hey, let them take charge of the whole thing, and because their pipe is substantially bigger than the Granite State's pipe as Unitil. And it's been almost impossible to meet with Unitil. We've had some really terrible meetings that have not gone well. And I don't know where that will lead to and where that will go to in the end. But long story short, since this building is almost 1,800 feet away from the pipe and it has no traffic, is going to be designed to go over the pipe at this point. So I'm just pleading with you to, help me out here to get me out of this one little hole. And like I said, I'm willing to bond anything else that you guys would need for assurance that, this will get done. It's going to get done.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's landlocked in Phase 3 to proceed, which is
be done for everything
which
else
is a long road still yet.
Understood.
And while I'm here, I want to kick off also the pre-construction meeting, which you guys control, I'm being told, for Phase 5, which is the residential part, which we have everything in, 100% complete, ready to go. And all the paperwork is done with everybody. So I would like that to be done with Mike Vignali and Mr. Sinini to come out and set up a schedule.
Okay. On the initial item, Jen, go ahead.
So I do think that the gas utility is still an outstanding item.
Yep.
But Mike Vignali did issue an inspection report from July 21st, and this is only dealing with Building 4. I'm just going to read it because I don't think all of you have seen it, and I know that, Tom, I believe you and Coleman also.
You can read it, but 50% is already completed, so we went beyond, actually.
On July 20th, 2026, I visited the site to check on the construction of Building 4, as requested by the developer. I checked the site based on the plans dated September 23rd, 2024. On site, when I was there, Coleman McDonough and his associates, Tom and Pat, were also there. Normally, I would complete a periodic inspection during construction to verify that the site was constructed to the approved plan, so this comment letter may be incomplete. The items that have been addressed from my June 9th, 2026 memo were removed from this list. Following is a summary of my findings. This inspection is limited to Building 4 and the access driveway only. As previously noted, loading docks were installed in the area where parking is shown on the approved plans. Coleman and Tom mentioned that temporary parking spaces were going to be painted, 25 or so. I reminded them that the spaces needed to be standard spacing with proper aisle width. No parking spaces were striped anywhere on the parking area when I was there. As previously noted, the proposed traffic landscaping island shown on the approved plan was not constructed. As previously noted, only a portion of the turnaround area cul-de-sac was constructed. The handicap parking spaces appear adequate but need striping to be complete. Some landscaping was installed along the building and on the loading dock areas. This landscaping was not shown on the plan. Landscaping on the traffic island not constructed and along the access road has not been installed. As previously noted, the required baffles in the outlet structures were not installed and must be for infiltration basins to function properly. Also, outlet structures covers were not properly secured. We discussed construction baffles with brick and mortar and I had no objection to that. As previously noted, there was a large area in the southeast of the building that was cleared and graded that was not shown on the plan. A small amount of fill was placed within the 50-foot wetland buffer beyond the limits shown on the plan and equipment was just being removed when I was there. As previously noted, a catch basin from the parking lot loading dock was connected directly to the stormwater basin and not the sediment forebay as shown on the approved plan. Coleman indicated that it could be connected to the other basin that flows into the forebay. He also suggested creating new forebays for just this pipe. I indicated he would need to have his engineer determine the proper size for that. As previously noted, the site has been paved only to the base course. No surface course paving has been installed. As previously noted, in many locations, vegetation grass has not been established yet. It was agreed that planting grass in the middle of the summer would not be successful and waiting until fall makes sense. So there are a number of items for the site that simply don't match the approval. That gets into a tricky place of, you know, building permits were already issued for this site.
Yeah. So, Roy Tilsley for the for 125 Development. So, of the list, the loading dock / parking spaces have been completed since he was there last week. Handicap parking spaces have been completed since he was there last week. The required baffles in the outlet structures have been completed since he was there last week. The small amount of fill in the wetland buffer has been removed since last week. So those are all the, I think, deficiencies, deficiencies that could easily be taken care of. Most of the other ones are situations that are site-specific. It doesn't make sense to do them at this point. So the traffic island, that will something that will go in after construction because it would interfere with construction or be ruined by construction. Yeah. The cul-de-sac is the same thing. Landscaping on the traffic island and the access road will come after the construction phase. Paving beyond the base course after the construction phase, and he did agree that planting grass should wait. The other thing that is going to take probably some work and possibly a change to the plan is reworking that catch basin situation.
So it was a mistake. We brought a pipe in the wrong direction. We were bringing it back. We're going to cut the hot top and bring it up there sometime next week and the other bay where it belongs. So Mike will be happy. He'd already agreed to it, so. And Mike has pictures of everything that Roy was just saying that we've done. It's all been sent in. But again, we're all bonded for it.
Yes,
Work we've done. You guys have the control of the bond, we don't. So it will be done as construction makes sense. Now, since we can't use nitrogen to grow grass, so we're trying to figure that out. So this is the last meeting, if you guys remember. So, because we still gotta grow a lot of grass, but,
What's going on with the other tenant?
which tenant?
The one that shifted from one position to the other and has a retail business going on that wasn't approved for a retail business?
That's in building one, is what you're talking about? I don't know what's going on there, to be honest with you, because I build, I don't deal with the tenants. As you know, after the point that they get past that point. That's a Sam thing and a Coleman thing. I don't do the leasing, I don't do any of that. So I can't really answer what they're doing there, so, but.
Well, that was when you guys came for a change of.
They changed to, I put it back to a warehouse.
And we specifically said here at this board that any new tenant has to come before the board.
They're fully.
That was not the case.
Right, they're fully aware they have to do that, so, I can't you know, they're grown people.
I'm making sure he knows.
I understand.
Because I'm not happy about that at
Understood.
all. Because there's
Understood.
a ton of traffic that is entering and exiting that place, which in turn puts it on you for your road use.
Yep.
And the amount of traffic that's going through there, not just your construction vehicles.
I understand, Bob, I'm doing that, you know.
Yeah,
hear
well,
me out,
I'm just,
hear me out.
again,
I have
Understood.
on-road,
you get where I'm coming from.
Look, I get it. I'm not, you know,
Point address.
point address, we understand it, we'll address it, so.
I hate being
Bob, you
deceived
can
and
reach
not,
out to me anytime you want, and we'll have a discussion about it, you know, it's like, there's been many discussions already about it, so trust me. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If that place is doing something that we didn't give them permission for,
we're working on it.
can't the selectmen do a cease and desist or something then to stop that?
Sam's writing up a letter.
It would have to go through a code enforcement procedure.
Sam's
The
already
planning board
talking.
doesn't have any jurisdiction over it.
JD.
Interesting.
JD.
Understood, we'll do our best.
Because like I said, I got problems when you come asking me for stuff,
Well-
and I'm getting slapped in the face.
No, there's no question, understood, and, you know, I'm learning of this right now, so if this is what's been holding us up.
And that's why I
yeah.
brought it up,
Okay.
because you're right here.
Okay, that's fine, I'm happy to dig into it.
Go ahead, Jen.
Just one other comment you made that you may be trying to sell building for. Until you get that condo approval.
Understood.
We understand that, yeah. We still need a CO for insurance, it's a whole snowball effect about the whole job.
And the one, again, the one,
Me losing the financing.
yeah, the one piece out of your control is the gas line. Is basically what,
The gas company is their top. Listen,
Yep.
this is Texas you're dealing with,
no.
right? Let's face it, it's Texas you're dealing with. They're the ones that's gonna carry the weight here. Utilities, if they even have a line there in the next 5 years, I'll be surprised. Because they're probably gonna be bought out and switched out anyway, so. I'm not concerned about that this minute, but we're gonna address it because I have to. You know, but I don't need to do that right now on this because, like I said, I'm more than 1,800 feet away from it.
So we have it in our approved like we have it in the condition that they have to do this. So what's our recourse here as a board? I don't know that we have anything that we can do.
Well,
do
we
you think?
can, one, waive the condition of use for that one pipeline and take that off the plate for all the work that's down, like he's saying, if we wanted to do that as a board. Because he's got you got a letter from the other
Right.
stating that they accepted it, but not that one.
The issue's not going to go away though, right? But like moving forward with the
No,
project,
but
yeah.
particularly because right now this request is phase two.
Yeah.
Phase two doesn't really
completely
implicate the crossing, other than the crossing's on the approval, but
Right.
we don't need the crossing for phase two. Phase two can exist independently, it doesn't rely on anything on the other side of the line.
physically,
As you know
yeah,
from
right.
the first 2 hours of this meeting,
It's a 4 copy, but it's,
that,
I never would have seen all this, Jeff.
Yep. Yep.
You guys remember this was approved?
Yeah,
like,
from Enbridge.
right, the crossing is coming, and we're gonna have to deal with it either
Right.
by getting them on board, or an amendment, you know, based on what Mr. Marchand has in his hands.
But during the global settlement, when we discussed all this, that one meeting, when we worked our way forward with town council and Roy, the decision was that we didn't need that yet. We will need it for Devaney, which we're fully aware of, so, you know, we need to get going on that, which
Right.
we're working on. But it's not as easy as you think.
No, I know it's not easy. You wouldn't be here every day.
Almost a year and a half
Yeah.
to get what I have. And
Yeah.
now it's under consideration again, it could be tomorrow, I don't know when I'm getting my answer. They said that they needed 6 weeks after our, road study was completed, but this section, it's gonna keep moving the target all the way home, so.
And have we got the new road that Mr. McDonough talked about that he had?
The new road?
Not the new road, the new permit for.
From the state?
Is, after the traffic.
Right, after the traffic study,
Yeah.
we'll get a new permit.
We expect that shortly,
That's
yeah.
what I'm asking, did you get it yet?
Right.
No.
We'll change our cap and they'll tell us what we gotta do with the roadways, which they haven't told us yet. They hold all the.
That's what I'm asking.
We don't have it yet, we expect it shortly. This building's within the original 120,
They've had it
correct?
for 4 weeks. So, and I know the siding died for somebody patient till Monday, so. After that, and then they'll do it again, and again, and again, like that. And you saw, he make a statement, he gave us 4 buildings on the residential part. That letter came to you, so.
Right.
So again, the board,
They
we have
handed
it
it down,
here,
yeah.
or did you give it to?
Yeah, they were they're looking at it, didn't they? Yeah.
Devaney has approved the passing over of the major pipeline there.
Yeah.
The one issue was the smaller one.
Did you see that?
And,
It's
I mean, I for
faded.
one can understand their part
Yeah.
to where it's an older pipeline and these guys they've already had to repair some, wanting them to replace a sizable chunk of their thing. because
So
they were
it's a
trouble.
6-inch line that they have in Granite State, right? It's very small. The Maritime got the end bridge next door to it, is 40.
Yeah. No, well, I think one of the gentlemen came, maybe represented him, came in at one of the meetings, yeah.
I've dealt with him for years.
So we could, like I said, waive that condition of
Specific
use
condition.
for that one pipeline for just
That
Section
specific,
2
yeah.
part of it. We
Are
could
the-
give 'em
yeah.
up to Devaney, and then once the road goes from Devaney up to,
From 2 to 3.
right, 2 to 3, which would
leads
be
to the-
from Devaney up to the housing, you would have to have that addressed.
Yep.
There's no intention, we gotta go through 3 with you guys first
Right.
before we cross.
Right.
That's allowed.
I mean, I absolutely think it's reasonable. I don't know how the other board members feel, and if Jen has any concerns that we're not thinking of.
I mean, procedurally, how would you do that? You would need to do a compliance hearing, which they've done that a couple times, where you like tweak the conditions.
Right.
I mean, that does take another meeting, which I think is outside of their time frame. So that is the procedural way you would deal with it. How you choose to may be different.
So that's what I suggest, we do a compliance hearing on it, to be able to give them a waiver for that pipeline for just for, section 2.
For the whole phase 2.
Well, for phase 2, right?
Yeah, right,
Phase
yeah.
2 up to
Yeah.
Devaney,
Bob's got it.
right, and then they would need, once that roadway goes over the gas
Right.
lines to the housing, he's gonna need that problem addressed.
And I hate that, like, it'll be a couple more weeks or a few more weeks before we get this, but,
Not yet.
yeah, right.
Bob's been here the whole time, this White's been here the whole
Yeah.
time, Jen's been here the whole
Yeah.
time. And that's really it,
Yeah.
all these pieces that went
Yeah.
quite some time ago. But what I'm saying is that, it's a good way forward for us financially,
Yep,
because we can't just go willy-nilly, you know, it has to be done. The engineering's all done already. It's just, the argument is, who pays for the gas line that's 1966 vintage?
yep.
And Coleman's, you know, he ain't gonna do that. We can argue all we want, like that, it didn't happen.
So I just
Oh,
want
go
to
ahead.
your next meeting is August 11th. It sounded like they had an earlier deadline they were working
August
on.
6th,
How you
yep.
want to deal with that? I don't have any strong suggestions, but
So if we do what you're saying to waiver,
Yeah.
Does that mean I gotta wait for the next meeting?
Yeah, that's basically, that's what we're saying, because,
Can I throw something out? Seems to me that the conditions that are on the engineer's letter, which we haven't addressed yet, are site-specific conditions, not building conditions, that will get addressed through the site development process. And now that the bonds are posted, the town has some security that those things can and will happen. We're told by the code enforcement office that the code enforcement, Sam needs something from the planning board to issue us the occupancy permit.
Exactly.
Can't you folks give us something today that says we're going to treat these as site-specific issues? We'll be back in 2 weeks with the compliance hearing. In the meantime, you can issue an occupancy permit. The board is satisfied that with the bonds in place, that code enforcement can issue an occupancy permit if it's satisfied.
I don't know if they do have the authority to do that?
I actually have a suggestion.
Yeah, of course. We're all trying to work through this.
That I do think you need to come in for a compliance
Yeah,
hearing. I understand the date issue. That the board could make a decision that they're comfortable with a temporary certificate of occupancy, which could be 30 days. That's a fairly standard.
I can't have a temporary one. It has to be a full occupancy permit. And Newton historically doesn't give temporary, they never.
Oh, that was my suggestion.
I know it for a fact, I've done this enough. I've been doing this longer than every board member, you too.
So what do we want to do, if anything?
I don't be tracked by that.
Yeah. Yep.
And FBA loan is real, like, that money is like
That
on
time
fire,
crunch.
because if they don't give it here, it needs to go elsewhere, it has to be gone by the end of October, because that's the fiscal year on that stuff, so
Yep.
I'm just like,
What's that date that you're,
August 6th. That's pushing it,
you get an
You
extra
could
meeting
make
in?
a determination to give an approval pending a successful compliance hearing. And if for some reason that doesn't go through, you could always revoke that decision at a future meeting.
You can put pressure on me, I have more building permits laying on the judge's desk, I will be back.
Yeah, and Tom, I don't think any of us are worried that'll be addressed, yeah. No, it's more procedurally. How do we make sure that this happens appropriately, with the citizens of the town are going to be happy and all of that? Do we want to consider some temporary or conditional item for this?
You could vote to let it go through, and then if it doesn't, you could always at a future meeting, next meeting, more meetings from now, revoke that, or rescind that vote. I mean, it's
Good.
procedural games, but
Otherwise, if the conditions aren't met.
Yeah.
Which would function kind of like a
On the
temporary
non, could I just ask really quick,
Yep.
on the non, not take the gas line out of it, and take the ones out, like some of the landscaping that was already said, like it was gonna happen in the fall.
Yeah.
Is the rest of the stuff reasonably, I think you said a few things. that
Yeah,
can be
the
finished
stuff, the
this
stuff
week.
that sort of goes, I think, in my mind, goes to occupancy in the short term.
Yeah.
The parking spaces, the handicap parking spaces, the baffles in the outlet structure, and the fill in the wetlands buffer have been taken care of.
And there's just, there'll be the one major one, which is the site plan adjustment.
Right.
Yeah, we will have to adjust that eventually, correct, yeah. Yep.
This is what I like to do.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, since all three buildings, building 2, building 3, building 4, is what we call them on the plan. So building 4 is what we're discussing. Building 2 is what I'm waiting on building permits. I have foundation permits and everything. I'm being held up because of this. Long story short, I would like to do this. I'd like to complete all 3 buildings, because these customers are moving me around daily on power doors and loading docks. 32's written in stone, it's gonna only have one change on it. And I'd like to come back and do a small site plan review and change all those things for you guys again, that's been changed. But we're still keeping all the parking spaces, all the things that make the math to make it work. We're not changing any drainage, we're not changing any of that stuff. So it's just a loading dock versus garage door, that's the issue. And there was a mistake in the plan set. The plan set for the original approval was supposed to say street level garage door or loading dock for each and every item. And it did for you know, things happen, so I make mistakes, but that's my issue all the time. I have customers coming in and
They're requesting some separately, yeah.
5 loading docks or 3 loading docks. I can't regulate that on 3 years ahead of time before I actually build.
Understood.
It's kind of
Yep.
tough, but-
So there's two things I think I see for us. One is we're going to be here in 2 weeks for a compliance hearing.
Regardless, yeah,
To
right.
discuss, hopefully, a waiver of that pipeline condition as it applies to this building because it doesn't implicate the pipeline. Two, we're going to have to, at some point, and maybe we should commit to when now, have an as-built, which is likely going to be an amendment for these types of things that end up slightly different than what was on the originally approved.
Because that'll have to be filed
Right.
with an amended site plan.
So if we could,
with
if,
us.
I'll make a motion to grant the occupancy with the stipulation that there's an occupant, what's it called?
Compliance hearing?
Compliance hearing, the next meeting. And if it does not get fully complied with, then the board has the right to
Sure.
revoke
And-
the occupancy permit.
And just by the next meeting, we're saying the next meeting with public notification, so
Which is
it would
the-
be the one in August, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Compliance hearing.
right.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be our true next meeting, it would be the meeting after.
The second August meeting?
We'd like to be on the next meeting right away.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
11th.
Is that right?
I need to resolve for the day.
Oh, yeah, perfect. No, I thought with the notification, there wasn't enough time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good, that's fine.
It is
Okay.
gonna have to be a butter notifications, but there's enough time between now and the next
Okay.
meeting.
I didn't realize that, Tom.
We'll start
Yeah,
that tomorrow.
yeah.
yeah.
ASAP,
Okay, yeah.
Does anyone
yesterday.
want to second that
I will
motion?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you, folks. We appreciate,
No problem. Thank you for
Stepping up and
talking this through
helping
I
with
want
us.
that other issue
we'll
taken
take care of
care
it.
of.
We're on it.
Please call me, we can have a discussion. Sam holds the strings.
He's writing a letter on it.
Yeah,
I've already talked to him.
going forward, it never.
All right. Do we have? We have the meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of the last meeting dated, I was just reading it before.
Thank you.
The July 14th.
14th? I'll second them.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Get this, does this stay with the?
Yeah, we can
packet?
hold on to that.
All right.
Bill's supposed to have that? Okay.
Any other business that anybody would like to talk about at this late hour?
Take a chance with.
Excellent.
Other than trust issues with 120?
No, well, I mean, I understand.
It's still on the air? Sorry.
Bill, she's gonna give you that copy from the Devaney, so we can get that on file.
I will adjourn the meeting at 9:09 PM.